It sounds like something like that.
You know, right through here. And then the water's up. Huh? Right now? Oh. To answer your question, no, it's not.
Sure they do.
Chuck, I just want to be able to say, I'm talking. But you tell them something hot ball. I saw you listen to hot ball. Yeah, it's such a good. They have no liquor. What's your team number? I don't know. It shows there is unpaid. Ask us to make sure that we, in fact, cash this check. Okay. No, I'm actually down here with
Did you want me to say something about it, or did you want to just talk about it? Perfect. Thank you very much.
Puts into our portal, gives you the I can't remember. I was
I was wondering how that worked, you know? So we can still stick with that. We have one of those in our office.
I may have you turn that speaker up necessary. All right, folks. Oh, there. I think we've got our speakers up and operational now. If you'll come in and have a seat. If you didn't have lunch already, grab a quick sandwich and have a seat. We'll get our meeting started promptly. The technology of today. Welcome to our second team captains meeting on our way towards the March 2017 race. And let me start off with some information for all of you. This is our second attempt to live broadcast this, but it'll be taped as well. So if you miss anything, any tidbits of great knowledge that goes out from me to you, you can always replay it and replay it again over and over, much as you like.
It's an interesting way of trying to get our message out to not only ourselves that can get to the meeting and hear directly from me and from the other presenters, but also to all our friends, even as far away as Germany and Australia, though I doubt they can understand me, to our friends in Canada. And I wanted to mention them specifically right off the bat here. This will be the 30th anniversary for our team from Calgary. And you'd be long into this race if you can remember when a Calgary police service pulled their portable pancake breakfast all the way from Calgary, 1,200, 1,400 miles, to our finish line at the Hacienda Hotel and served a pancake breakfast after the race was over. Was anyone present for that? Ooh, okay. Other than one individual here. But again, Calgary, this is the 30th year. This marks a high point for them, I'm sure, and for a lot of teams here. And for some, this will be their first effort at Baker to Vegas. Let me introduce first, up on the stage, taking our RB support folks' place for today, but helping out a great deal to dispense and distribute our team T-shirts. This is our Rules Committee, short one person. And up on the stage is Andrew Lee, Pat Larrigan, Frank Rauman, Mike Camacho, how could I forget that? Huh? Mike Camacho, our newest member of our Rules Committee, and our chairman up there is Ruben Holguin. They stepped in today to distribute the T-shirts. If you did not get your T-shirt prior to the meeting, please do so. It helps us to get rid of as many as possible as we go along. A 4th of January, and I'll be on you, most of you here, to send me in your T-shirt order form. On the 4th of January, we'll distribute probably closer to 100 teams worth of T-shirts, so we'll need a pretty massive folks up there. In the room with us as well, and very successfully helping out teams, is a National Life Group back in the corner here, who have helped several teams gather funds for the Baker to Vegas effort. I certainly don't have to tell you as team captains that it does take a great deal of money to successfully get through this race. If you're trying to do it on the cheap end, it's probably still going to cost you $5,000. And then you're going to get by running as 20 ragamuffins, no uniforms, no help, and you reach in your own pocket for gas. That's the cheap way to go. But they're here to help you, and they've set up dates for January. Please do see them. I'm looking at the amount of money that they've successfully raised for Men's Central Jail and Garden Grove at $1,000. So they're doing very well. Try to see what they can offer you. Enterprise Rent-A-Car. Darren, if you raise your hand there. These are the folks, again, that help us and set up the ability for you to rent vehicles there in Las Vegas. Of course, makes it much easier to pick up your vehicle there, outfit it there, and turn the car back in. And you're not worried about giving your car that you borrowed from some friend, and you give it back to them, and you've driven it through the desert, and it's full of rocks and dirt and sagebrush and stepped on banana peels, and that's not a way to do that. But rent-a-cars, that's another story. So do see Darren and take care of your rent-a-car needs. Smitty's sign works while he's not here in the room. It'll be a part of the minutes that I'll put on the website and send to you. Smitty is there to take care of your needs for the reflective team number, and you need one reflective team number that goes in the back of your follow vehicle. Any other requirements that you need, your caution runner ahead sign, any other types of signs, Smitty is there to take care of you. He'll be here at our next meeting on the 4th of January. So please do contact him if you want to place an order. I'm sure he'll bring it with him at that meeting. A card here for the Scorpion Relay. Century Station, LA Sheriffs is going to put on the Scorpion Relay this year. Good effort. I've enjoyed running that many times. Close to my home in Puddingstone Park. So get over there, participate, see if you can get together teams to run. The best test possible to see if you can get somebody locally, 6 of you, to actually show up and participate. Then you're going to find out. If you want to test your deadbeats, those are the people you offer. And you'll really find out if they'll show up or not. I want to call up a partner of mine, worked here training division for a long time. This is Tony Adler. Tony's going to come up and talk about a separate issue for a moment, the World Police and Fire Games.
Good afternoon. LAPD and the City of Los Angeles will be hosting the World Police and Fire Games next year. The World Police and Fire Games is held every 2 years, and last year it was held in Fairfax, Virginia. Next year, although we're going to be hosting it, it was supposed to be held in Montreal, Canada. Well, cut a long story short, the City of Montreal pulled out of the games. Chief Beck picked up the games for Los Angeles, and after the last 4 months of going back and forth and trying to get the city council approval, we finally, hopefully next week, will be full bore with the games, hosting it next summer, August 7th through the 16th. And we expect about 10,000 athletes to participate from over 65 countries in over 60 sports. The sports are going to be held throughout the city and county of Los Angeles. The hub of most of the sports will take place at the LA Convention Center, as well as LA Live. Down at LA Live, we'll probably have boxing, some sports like dodgeball. Inside the convention center itself will be basketball, volleyball, and a few other sports. Out in the San Fernando Valley, the Sepulveda Sports Complex will be having soccer, flag football, rugby, and then outside in the outlying areas in Santa Clarita, the LA County Sheriffs have come aboard full-time, and we're going to be having some cycling events, triathlon, paintball, and a couple of sports out there. So there are different hubs hosting different sports. I'll place some postcards on your table for review. The website is on there. It's la17wpfg.com. And registration for the games will open up on December the 15th. So please, if you would, post that at the station. We didn't have time to get big flyers made up, but hopefully by next meeting we'll have that done. So thank you, and we'll see you then. Chuck.
Now that was a test. If you can understand Tony, you can understand anyone. I want to bring up an individual that put a flyer on your tables there. This is the executive director for the Run to Remember. I ran this race last year. Lots of folks there. It's a good effort. It's for a great cause. And I would tell you, even if you don't particularly like a half marathon distance, there is a 10K available for you. And you could get out there and participate in that. And I see them coming up now. Come on up, Steve. This is Tim Colomé from LAPD and Steve Belfer.
Yes. Thank you, Chuck. Hey, good afternoon, everyone. I'm one of the team captains for the department's running team. But with that, I've been working with Steve Belford here. The Run to Remember race started in Boston. They're going on their 13 years, and we've been going back to Boston. LAPD has been producing a team going back to Boston for at least the last 5 years. And I was absolutely amazed when I was back in Boston to see the community support that went with this race. It's of downed officers. It was absolutely amazing. We were there after the Boston bombing. This race occurred shortly after that, and the outreach to the police was just amazing during that from the community. So after talking to Steve for a little bit, we said, hey, we need something like that out here on the West Coast. Last year was the first year for it, and anyone that did it, it was absolutely incredible. You know, just you can't even describe it, but with Baker to Vegas, the half marathon is outstanding. We have my team, we do a good amount of them participate in that half for all the long legs. The 10K is absolutely great for everyone else for Baker to Vegas. Our team does that almost as one of our qualifying runs also, and within the department, a lot of the divisions are sending their guys to that also. It's on February 12th. I'm going to pass it over to Steve. He has the background on it. He's the race director, and I've just been trying to incorporate as much law enforcement with it. And if you go to it, bring your families. All my families, all the people that I brought were absolutely amazed with what we do for law enforcement during this race. And you can't say enough right about these times. We need as much support law enforcement does, and let people know what we're all sacrificing out there. It's really important we get it out there. So with that, Steve, thank you.
As Tim mentioned, we started this race in Boston more than a dozen years ago to raise funds to build a monument at the State House to officers killed in the line of duty. We succeeded with that mission, and the race was so popular, though, written up by most running magazines as the second best race in Boston, right behind the Boston Marathon, of course. But the race sells out every year in Boston with 12,000 runners, and as Tim mentioned, his team there won about 5 years in a row. There's prize money involved. Boston has a prize purse of $10,000, and Tim was able to take some of that home with him, not for himself, but for things out here. The LA race has a prize purse of $23,000 thanks to a very generous sponsor, and we have inside the white envelopes I passed around the tables, there is the chart of the breakdown of the prize money. It's the first and second fastest departments with 1,000+ officers, then first place in the, I think it's a 100 to 999, and then first place under 100 officers on your department. We also have a firefighter element in there and something for the cadets / explorers for the youth to participate. We do a complimentary entry for your youth program. So if you have cadets or explorers associated with your department, we can provide free entries there. There's a whole guideline for that. Send me an email. I can send you out that information. The race starts at the Grove. The Grove is one of our sponsors along with Paramount Studios. Burn 60 is one of our top sponsors. And just as of this morning, the Los Angeles Police Protective League also signed on as a sponsor this morning. So that's great. We're working with the credit union. So the race starts at the Grove, leaves the Grove on the Grove Drive along Beverly, heads up La Brea to Melrose, for those that know the area, then right into Paramount Studios. As you enter Paramount Studios, there's a gauntlet of 20 sheriff's cars and 20 LAPD cars, and with the lights all flashing, officers saluting the runners as they go by. And then there's a collection of about 150 tribute posters. As many of you may know, we've lost 132 officers in the line of duty this year, which is quite an increase from the past year. And we really believe the race is about showing tribute and respect to those officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice. We do ask, if you've lost people in your department, if you can send to me their photo, their rank, end of watch date, we will get posters made up for them and display them in the studio as well. The other thing that goes on in the studios, we have a collection of about 40 antique police cars, fire trucks, bomb squad, all on display. The runners really love that part. There was a video that was shot inside Paramount Studios last year. They got 5 million hits on YouTube. And if you watch that video for the Dallas Memorial, in that video, you'll see people commenting about, oh yeah, I saw you in LA. I saw your video from LA. So we've got quite a bit of recognition there. This year, for our inaugural year, which was this past January, the finishers medal was the LAPD badge and the LA Sheriff's badge back to back, because that's the two organizations that back at the starting of the race. Now it's greatly expanded. So we're doing a new finisher medal, which has a challenge coin that's held in with a magnet in the middle of it. So every runner will get to choose amongst a collection of challenge coins, and that fits right inside your medal. You can keep it in your medal afterwards or add it to your coin rack. We have a special code for Baker to Vegas. It's B2V 10, which will give $10 off to anybody that uses that code. That's also in your packets that you got on the table there. There's also a way for those teams that are trying to raise funds for your Baker to Vegas effort. We do have a way with the race that we can help you do fundraising for your Baker to Vegas team through the Run to Remember LA. Send me an email. I can hook you up with that system. What we heard time and time again from this past race was people talked about how, the noisy few seem to get all the headlines these days. But what about those 132 officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice? Where's the headlines there? So the youth in particular really felt empowered by this race to see the tremendous community support. We had over 5,000 runners, to see the tremendous community support for all of our first responders. So I think this is a great opportunity. We'd love to have you involved. We'd love you to use this as a training run for your Baker to Vegas efforts. And we can set up special discount codes for your department, for the different departments if you'd like. Please feel free to contact me. My card's in the packet. You can also reach me through the website. Thank you so much.
In this very small world that we live in, you can never have too many friends. Never. I call on lots of folks all over the place to do different things for this race, and it's nice to see that communities do respond, and we're not quite what everyone else thinks we are as law enforcement. I want to mention and introduce, and where did he go? Where is Mr. Estrada? Oh, the very back of the room, folks, is the president of LAPRAC. That's Steve Estrada, come to join us today. And certainly from the Revolver Club and from the directors and the host of the operations here, this is the beginning of the really hectic time for all of the staff. Marie, that has been with me for many, many years now, who takes in all the entry fees and the questionable ones that come in every now and then. When somebody sends me a check, $2,100, without any further information, no team number, no name, no nothing. And I'm supposed to figure out who that's from. So she and I sit down and go through the process of elimination to find out who is the dodo that sent it that way. And eventually we find them. Currently, as we stand here right now, we have 279 teams entered. I have one other team. I don't know if they showed up today. This is a combination South Pass, San Marino, and Irwindale. Are they in here? Well, I sent them a message because they called me and said, we want in. I said, I have one more spot. That's the last word I heard. So apparently they didn't get themselves quite so organized. We'll see. But 279 is where we stand right now. On the website, Baker Vegas, not Baker to Vegas, bakervegas.com, where this is being broadcast right now, is race accommodations, the hotel, the Westgate, the direct link that takes you, once you click on that, right to their process of booking a room. Room rate right now is $109 a night. Not going to find that rate any better in the town of Las Vegas than that. So be sure that you get that out to your team and get that all underway. Fundraising, which is a key issue part to all of what you do here. And again, LAPRAC is not a charity. They are a 501c4. That's not a charity. That's a nonprofit corporation, but it's not a charity. The 95 number, which is of some value to some of you in here, is 1686994. That's the tax ID number for the Revolver Club. When you contact individuals, companies, corporations that are interested in taking care of your entry fee or in helping you, they can write that off as advertising expense, but not as a charitable contribution. And real important, keeping yourself absolutely above everybody's thought of what goes on with all those dollars, is to keep your commanding officer or your chief of police totally informed over what are your costs, what are you spending the money on. Sworn volunteer. I've received numerous requests and sent in their form for your sworn volunteer, and that's great. It is a part of the race. It's what's needed. I've sent back 2 already, though, of teams that tried to give me somebody that's already there. And this is a change a bit, and I'm going to crack down on this as much as possible. I'm going to ask you, if you're sending in somebody that's already going to be at the race, Jeff Lee is already going to be at the race. Margie Hoffman, already going to be at the race. They have a job to do. They're already going to be there. You can't give me them as a volunteer. I'm going to expect you to give me somebody that's going to work a stage or work a particular responsibility. So be sure that the person you give me is, in fact, a good worker. That's all we're looking for here. Good worker. Do they have to be an officer? No. But at the same time, their responsibility is going to come back to you as the team captain. There's no leaving early. There's no getting there late. There's working. If I hear back from the officer in charge of a stage that the volunteer you sent me sat in their car and would not get out because it was cold outside, well, then you're going to suffer the penalty for that. So be sure you're giving me somebody willing to work. Steve mentioned officers killed in the line of duty. And yes, indeed, this is a terrible year. And for the Dallas Police Department, a significantly terrible year. We're going to try to do as much as possible for their agency as I humanly can. But it brings up a good point. Who you are and how you're identified. This is our race, Baker to Vegas. You see it all over the place. You see it on license plate frames. You see it everywhere. I certainly do. And it is important to realize that's who we are. So we have to be able to certainly take care of ourselves the best as we humanly can. And we're going to do it in this situation. The communications. There was a seminar this morning for communications. And those that attended the seminar, I hope you learned a great deal of what's necessary for you and what not to do. And there are several things here about what not to do when it comes to communications. Do not bring out your department radios. That's number one. Don't do that. One, you're going to lose something. I learned the other day what a department radio costs. And I was certainly shocked that it costs $7,000 or $8,000 a radio. So if you lose one, break one, you take one out there, and you're going to suffer a significant penalty from your own agency for that happening. So don't do that. Along with the fact that they're not useful. They are not useful. A $15 rented radio will work much better, much safer than trying to take a department radio will. But communications is still very important. Very important. And I know there are a few teams that go out there, and I don't know, Scott, if you still go out there with nothing.
No radio, brother.
Steve goes out there blind. Now, Steve, it just happens, Scott rather, happens to have such a control over all of those team members that they're there on time. They must not want to get transferred to Yucaipa or Death Valley or someplace. But they're there where they're supposed to be and on time. Well, I'm telling you, that's a pretty risky event for most of you here. You need to have some kind of communication between the follow car and the next exchange point to be assured that the runner is there, that they're ready to go, early or late, whatever it might be. You're making communications between those 2 points as you go along the race course. The communications forum will go online active January the 2nd, 2017. When it does, I will expect you as the team captain to complete that form. I will keep track and begin in January to post forms turned in. And you'll see a box where it says communications form. That's your responsibility to be sure it's turned in. As it approaches the deadline is February the 3rd. As I approach the deadline, I will certainly see a few teams that haven't turned it in. And I'll be trying to contact you. I have your information, your email address, and your cell phone number. my two fastest means of contacting you. If I do not hear back from you either way, then my next means is to call your agency. And when I call the agency, bypass the operator, get past the watch commander, and go right to the commanding officer. I'm looking for you. Where are you? And here's why I need to have you, and need to have you right now. So please do respond. When I call you or when I send you an email, respond. I get the mailbox full on a few of you. I get no response from some. I get bad address from a few. I try to chase all that down as much as possible to be sure that I'm making direct conversation between myself and you, the team captain. So the communications forum, very important. We are about to make a better change to our medical operations. Very close to finalizing an agreement to make that a better run operation. Emergency medical service, EMS, where we are located, if you were to be hurt out there right now and there wasn't anyone out there, the buzzards would find you before anybody else will. But in our race, we put out layers and layers of opportunity to find individuals that are hurt, get them to the fastest medical service possible, and to ensure that they get to the hospital if they need to be there. And we're going to try to improve that this year. It's been a several-month effort to do that, and I think we're very close to finalizing an agreement that'll have a doctor at each of these exchange points. But it's important as well to remember that even if we have the best of medical service there, a person can still say they don't want medical service and sign out AMA against medical advice. Not a wise thing to do. But I'm not there, and I can't convince you otherwise not to do that. So we're bringing in as good a set of eyes and as good a set of medical care as possible to be assured that the individual gets the best advice they can, the best service they can, and then you make your own decision. Eligibility questions. On the stage is our rules committee. They make the decisions based on the eligibility questions you might send in. Some things are fairly simple. Other ones get much more complex when we're looking at large agencies that move around people, hide people, put them in special units, do all sorts of things. But so that you know, reserves are in fact eligible people to run in this race. A reserve, if you use them on your team becomes an invitational team. In so many words, you're using a civilian person, and you're becoming an invitational category team, but they are eligible to run. Runners that don't have teams, and this has come up because transfer time for LAPD is right about now. And January the 1st is our cutoff for new hires. But when people leave a portion of a department, a station, that sort of thing, they're still eligible to run for that station if they choose to, or if you choose to use them. But here is, if you use somebody that is not listed on that department roster, that agency roster, or that station roster, you cannot run in the station category. The station category is set up solely for people assigned to the station as of January the 1st, 2017, or for LAPD purposes, deployment period 14, Christmas this year. That's the start of DP 14. So wherever you are as of that date is where you run. If you leave that station afterwards, you're still a part of that station and can run. But beforehand, it's wherever you might be as of those dates. We will again use, although I think I'm going to make a change to the size of the bib number. We've been using a pretty standard number over the last couple of years, but to get in all of the information we want on there and for the rules and enforcement people to really see that number, it needs to be larger. So we'll go to an oversized number, and for some people that wrap around you 3 times. It'll reach the front and the back. The bib number is that big. So we're probably going to go to that oversized number this year. But in doing so, all of the agencies, all of the teams here that have lost anyone in the time between last year's race and this upcoming year's race, if you choose to have a photo of that individual on your bib number, that is possible to do. What I want you to send me and to send to Reuben Crane here, the general manager, so that it also goes on to the presentation at the award ceremony, is the best quality photo of that individual that you have. Close-up photo of that person. So we're talking chest to the head. Anything further away, and it makes it very difficult to see it when it gets blown up. So do send me a good quality photo, and we'll be assured that that goes on your bib number. Because the date of the race is 1 week different than last year, the requirements for a flashing vest won't change. That is 7 p.m. From 7 p.m. on to 7 a.m. the next morning, a flashing vest will be required. Flashing vests, you see them over here. They're available here at the store. We'll have them at this meeting. We'll have them at the next meeting. Many people have asked me, can they use other types of flashing vests? And most of the time, the answer is yes. The types of vests that other folks want to use are very expensive. $60, $70 a vest. But that's up to you if you want to use that. But write me and give me an idea of what you want, where the website is that I can look at it, and I'm sure it will pass. Vendors operation there at the Westgate Hotel are again available. If you have somebody in mind that is interested in doing that, send that information to me. I'll forward it to Reuben Crane, the general manager, who will put that operation together there at the Westgate Hotel, the vendors show. Now I would tell you, please stop in there. These folks are going to put up some money and look for foot traffic, and that's all they really want is you to stop by. Say hello, see what they have to offer. The race course itself, most of it hasn't changed a whole bunch in 1,000 years. Baker as a community has changed. Baker has a signal light. First time ever. So they have a signal light in Baker. The community, the town itself really hasn't changed much. 500 people, tops. That's counting everybody. Probably 3 times over, but that's counting everyone. Baker School, that's our host, been our host for these 33 years. Great individuals, very helpful individuals. And in the oddest way of things, and in the way that only the state of California can probably do, the permit that we request goes through Baker. Getting the community support there from Baker is the only way the state of California Department of Transportation okays our permit to run on the race course. So again, you can never have too many friends. In the minutes, I will post the general idea of how starting times are calculated. There are 9 starting times, approximately 30 teams per start. We'll start at 8 o'clock in the morning and go to 4 in the afternoon. And as I mentioned to the people in the communications seminar, being wrong about your estimated time, if you're a middle of the day start, 11, 12, 1, probably doesn't impact too many things. But if you're an 8 o'clock start and you try to tell me you're going to run 21 hours, but you run 18 hours instead, now you'd prove to be a problem. Solution to that problem is we stop you at stage 12 or 13 or 14 and tell you Go have lunch and come back in an hour because you're not starting for a while. And we'll stop you at an exchange point if you're wrong. So please make sure that you try to calculate your estimated time the best that you can. If you're stumbling over that issue and you don't know how, call me and I'll try to help you through it. But if you're dead wrong and you're an early start, you prove to be a problem. If you're at the other end of the ball game and you start at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because you tell me that you're good, then you better be good. Because if you're not, there's not much I can do to help you. If you slow down a whole bunch through a bunch of problems or poor runners or bad estimation, then you're going to reach points in the race in which we tell you, if you do not reach this point by that time, then you're done. And all that effort you have will be wasted. So again, it really matters at both ends of the extreme to be accurate with your estimated time. The highway is not closed. We do not close the highways. 127, the main road that we run on from Baker towards Shoshone, and then from Shoshone into Nevada. Those roads are not closed, and neither is 160, which is our main thoroughfare from Pahrump to Fort Apache. And right now, the Nevada Department of Transportation for Nevada is working on the road. They're placing in the town of Pahrump 2 turnabouts. And the only turnabout I know in the whole Southern California area is located in Long Beach or Lakewood, someplace down there. And there are probably people still going around and around there and don't know how to get out. And why turnabout in Pahrump? I don't know. I'd have to really think hard about why would you do that. But they're on our race course. Whether they're done by the time we reach our race, I won't really know until later on. I'm sure you can get through a roundabout because you know where you want to go. But others may be a little confused. From the top of Mountain Springs Pass, where the road moving towards our finish line goes from 4 lanes to 2 lanes, is now being expanded to 4 lanes all the way into Las Vegas. Well, that expansion isn't set to be complete until April the 1st, 2017, after our race is over. Right now, they're working on that particular part of the roadway, 3 or 4 miles at a time. And if you remember last year, about 1.5 miles was 2 very narrow lanes and a K-rail, causing the follow vehicle to have to abandon the runner for that short 1 mile. Took us a lot of scrambling around to come up with that situation and the solution. We'll see whether or not this impacts us this year. Right now, they're working their way westbound, and they're moving towards the top of the Mountain Springs Pass itself. And they're saving the last part, the hardest, for last, to try to make 4 lanes out of 2 at the top of the mountain, where it's nothing but hard rock. At our next team captains meeting, January the 4th, we will have a team captain seminar for all of the new teams and/or new team captains, the 4th of January. Please put that on your calendar. Try to attend if you can. It'll be an 8:30 to 3 in the afternoon, including our regular team captain meeting schedule on the 4th of January. Trying to assist you as new teams or new team captains with as much information as is possible. How to get through this race the best way that you can. The most organized you can be is the best way. It saves a lot of heartache. It gets you through the fastest that you can and the least amount of stress. If you go in there uncoordinated, it'll be just nothing but stressful for you, along with about 20 other people very angry at you that you cost them all that money, brought them out there in the desert, and they didn't have fun. So be sure that you put a lot of time and effort into coordinating your team. Been asked the question many times by lots of folks that look at this race and wonder, do I coordinate you? And I say, no, I don't coordinate them. If they come out really well organized, they go right through this race without a problem. If they come out there unorganized, they come out there once and they never come back because they didn't have fun and everybody got mad at them. So put the time and the effort into organizing yourself in every way possible, and you'll have a good time out there. I had a team already volunteer for the honor guard position, which is great news. Good. Next is the national anthem. If you have someone on your agency that enjoys singing the national anthem and they're good, then please send me a CD of them singing the national anthem or something else. I will give that to my best expert, and it isn't me, because you could sing awful and I couldn't tell the difference. So I'll give that to my best expert and let them decide who's the best singer out of this particular group of 2 or 3 or whatever I might have. So again, I'm looking for someone to take care of the national anthem. Also looking for someone to take care of the invocation. Try to hand that out to different agencies around and give someone else a different experience of this. If you have someone on your agency that enjoys doing this, again, let me know who that person is, and the assignment will be yours. Team plaques. I think I've just about gotten rid of all of last year's plaques short of 1 or 2. And it's taken me all of 6 or 7 months to do that. Take the plaque home with you. The conclusion of the race, the race results will be posted and official at 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. You've got to be around Las Vegas at 4 o'clock Sunday afternoon. You haven't left. Even if you're a team that has to go back to work on Monday, and I know there are many of you that do that, pick up that plaque. Due dates. They'll be in the minutes, but let me give them to you quickly right here. Your t-shirt order form is due to me by the 3rd of January. I will talk to our t-shirt manufacturer, put together an order of probably about 3,000 shirts for the next order so that I have enough to take care of all the teams. And then that leaves me 1 more month to take care of the very tardy, late souls, don't know what they're doing teams. Your communications form, again, 3rd of February. Your category form, if you know what it is, send it to me now if it's not going to change. Otherwise, February the 1st next year, your category form is due to me. Your volunteer form, the 17th of February. Last, your estimated time, March the 3rd. This coming Saturday, Temple Station is going to have its mug run. There are lots of efforts to run. Get your folks out there. There's a 5K attached to all of those mug runs. So even if they're not prepared to run 10K, or you don't want to sit around and wait an hour and a half for them to finish, let them run a 5K. And then you'll have some idea of what their ability is. There's 4 months before this race. You can do a lot in 4 months. And you can move from 15-minute a mile pace to 10 minutes a mile pace. You can do that in 4 months. If you put your mind to it and do a little work. And if you're 10 minutes a mile, you might get to 8 minutes a mile in 4 months. But you're not going to go from 10 minutes a mile to 5 minutes a mile in 4 months or 40 years. If you don't have that ability, it's just not going to happen. But to get to something reasonable that's going to help your team, that's doable. But the only way you're going to know if people are really responsible or not is if you tell them to show up at such and such a place and then run them. And then you'll really know whether they're responsible enough to even show up and can they do what they say they can do. The run to remember is the 24th. Oh, I'm sorry. No, that's not right. What is it, Steve? What's the date on the Run to Remember? It's in the flyer? February 12th, okay. Gives you time. Every team here has to find somebody. Somebody in this race is going to run 10.7 miles. If you look at the statistical information on that stage, stage 14 from last year, you will find that the great majority of teams did find someone, and they actually run pretty well. I'm always surprised at that when I look to see when do you go from fast to 7-minute mile pace and then to 8-minute mile pace. How deep in a stage do you go before you reach those key points? If you look at stage 15, you only have to go about 5 places before you go from fast to 7-minute miles. And then from 8-minute miles to 10 to 12, it's a tough stage, all uphill. But to find individuals to run 10.7, that's not just your average jogger. Somebody has to be serious. Someone has to be a fairly competitive half marathoner to run 10.7 miles. Well, it's your opportunity to find that individual. If you really want to be a nice guy or a good team, you pay their entry fee and let them run the Run to Remember. Now you're doing 2 things. You're taking care of somebody that wants to run, plus you're going to find out just what they can do for half marathon. I help you. Melina, where are you here? Stand up a second, Melina. Like many teams here, Melina is a volunteer to help the Australian team. And if you follow the US dollar and the Australian dollar and the Canadian dollar, then you know they're taking a beating right now. You want to go someplace, go to Canada, go to Australia with your US dollar, and you'll be the king of the town. They need some help, and Melina's here to try to help them. She has a raffle for an Echo. And I did not know what an Echo was, except in this building here. And so she explained a little to me, and I said, well, don't give it to me, because I could never use anything that technical. My dog would bark and the lights would go off. So try to help them out. She's got a raffle. She'll be right up here in the front of the room. Come up here and join in the raffle. I told her what I thought would be a great idea is, and maybe the team from Australia can do this, is you remember their little, their kangaroo they brought with them? I said, have them autograph the kangaroo and raffle that off. Cute idea, maybe it'll work for them. So we'll see whether that can happen or not. But teams do use their help. The Germans will be here, the Australians will be here, our Canadian friends will be here. So try to help them as much as you can. Or did I lose my technical person here? Where did he go? Ruben, I'm done and I need you to turn this off for a moment. While Ruben's coming up here, do I have any questions? Yeah.
Is police coming back? You guys gonna police coming back?
Any other questions?
Last question, size of the reflective letters, 4 inches to 6 inches.
6 inches.
Can you turn it off?
Are you done?
Yeah, done.
You're supposed to say like the
Tell me when it's off.